Hello, guys. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast with Rachel and my beautiful friend Michelle. I just want to say again, I've been hounding her. Michelle is always radiant, but there's a really intense radiance with Michelle today. So I just wanted to say that because it's really beautiful and lovely. So we we are spiritual sisters who started a podcast recently and want to talk about all things spiritual, new age, just on the path, walking each other home here on this earthly plane while we're connected in other planes and having a gosh darn good time doing it, right?
Yes, we are.
In the last in the last episode, we interviewed me so that we could give you a glimpse into what our background is, who we are as spiritual people, how we got started on our path. And today the interviewer will be the interviewee. So I'm going to be asking Michelle a lot of questions in the hope that I can more fully introduce all of our listeners to who she is as a person and a beautiful spirit walking around here with us on Spaceship Earth. Are you ready?
No. I'm so nervous. I get really nervous when I start talking about myself. Like if you're watching us, I'm watching us on YouTube. Like my fingers are fidgeting right now, and I don't know what to do with my hands. So I mean, I'm ready as I'll ever be. I am an open book. So I guess I'm ready. Still nervous, but I'm ready.
Hey, so I'd actually specifically told Michelle to pretend she's on X Factor. You know, when you get like the really kind of sobby backstories. Not that Michelle has a sobby backstory, but it was like, listen. So this is like when you're on American Idol, and we want the, oh my gosh, she's so talented and she had to overcome, and like, so obligatory reality TV backstory. Let's hit it.
So I am a mom and a wife. I do live in a foreign country, which I'm not at this point going to say necessarily where I live, just for a few reasons. But it is not in the U.S. currently. And my backstory, God, what is my backstory? I have a really long backstory, so I hope everybody has their tea or coffee.
Grab your beverages, people.
And it's not as it's so Rachel last week she says, well, I had a pretty normal background, and and which is cool, and it's something that one of the things, I'm not going to say envy of her, but I like that, because my background is a little more traumatic, I guess is the word. I was born in Miami, and my mom was a single mom, and the relationship between my mother and father has always been very, what is the word that I want to use? Negative, I guess is the word. I have a very bad relationship with my father, and the reason I'm telling you this is it goes kind of hand in hand with why I do what I do now, or one of the reasons. And one of the major reasons as to why I am the way that I am, everybody said that, oh, you're really kind and you're really nice and you're really patient, which thank you. It's one of the things that I do pride myself in, because of my background. Anyway, so my father was leads. I don't speak to him anymore, a very dark life. And unfortunately, that was put on us as a family. And I'm not going to cry, so just heads up. I'm not going to do the Rachel thing today. Anyway, so the Rachel thing today. My father was very abusive with with me and my brother and my mother. So not to go into a lot of details, we ended up leaving. My mom ended up leaving my father. She's a single mom, so we didn't have a lot. we would, have you ever heard like, oh, you're so poor, you eat mayonnaise sandwiches? That's literally what we did. We like ate mayonnaise sandwiches because we did not have a lot in life. So my mom was always a big proponent. You have to get your education. You have to push through. My mom was cleaning houses. She was working in factories. My brother and I would stay home by ourselves 7 and 8. So I had a lot of time to read. Reading was one of my getaways. And a lot of the books that I would pick up were books on crystals, books on plants, like what kind of plants kind of help you with headaches or and I used to make up and I'm sure everybody did this as a kid, just grab like a pot of anything and just start grabbing any plant that you would find in your backyard, add some water, crush it up, and hopefully if you're smart enough, not feed it to anybody, including your pet. Including your pets. So traumatic childhood kind of made me who I was. My mom is also she's very Catholic, but she also has a little bit of a witch inside, or a lot of bit of a witch inside her. So she always used to say, when you're having a rough day, talk to your angels, or have a notebook and name your angel and write to your angel. So I named my angel, brace yourself, Amethyst. My angel's name is Amethyst. And forever that was my angel's name. And it still is. So anything that would happen out of the ordinary in our lives, we used to say, oh, the angels did it. Or the angels were watching out for us. Like my mom, there was a moment where my mom didn't have enough money for milk. And we went to the grocery store and she had just got I think she borrowed like $3 from somebody. And we went to the grocery store and my mom was buying milk for my brother because he was still a baby. And I look on the floor and I pick up what I thought was like a little booklet. And if anybody was on, what is that? Oh, what is the word where you help families with money? Food stamps, food stamps.
Oh, yeah.
It was, yeah. So I found one. I'm like, oh, look, it's a little book. And I picked it up and I'm like, Mommy, look, I found a book. It was $500 worth of food stamps. And my mom was just like, holy cow. She grabbed it and she's like, we are going grocery. Like, we have not gone grocery shopping in weeks. Like, we were just scraping by. And we, for the first time in a while, had like food in the kitchen, right? And she was like, that was your angels. Your angels like found it for you. And I was like, I didn't realize what I had done or what I had found. Like, I just knew my mom was happy. And then now I always look at the floor and always find money and stuff, right? Anyway, I forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, so we grew up very, very poor. We grew up lacking a lot. I ended up going to college. I got a full scholarship. I have a degree in health sciences with a specialty track in speech language pathology. And yeah, we got out of the bad situation. My father's still not in the picture. That's a whole nother tale. Drugs are bad, everybody. So when you say drugs are a huge factor as to why we don't speak to him. But yeah, I came from a place of not having to now being very fortunate and blessed is the word that I'm going to use, to having almost anything that I can want, right? So one of the things that I like to do a lot, especially through my business, is give, because I know that not everybody has the ability to have a full Reiki session, and people don't have the ability to just have basic needs. So I try to donate as much, try to give away as much and that I possibly can, because I know what that feels and I know what the difference is just to have somebody just kind of pull you out just a little bit, So also hence the name why my business name is Remember Love. It kind of goes hand in hand to how I started. But yeah, is that enough? Is that an X Factor worthy intro?
That was
Did you guys
perfect
cry?
because we got the like really intense backstory, but then we had the glow up, so now it's like,
Yeah.
yes,
Now
yeah,
I'm a beautiful singer and I sing at a carnival.
I mean,
You
I don't
know,
know what Simon Cowell would say about this. I don't know, Simon, if you're listening,
please
welcome.
judge this.
Please judge this.
Judge me. I'll take the judgment. But yeah, that's it.
Right?
That's my start. And now I'm married and we travel the world. I move every 2-3 years to a new country. We'll be moving next year to Kenya. So within a year, you'll be hearing hearing this podcast from Kenya, and hopefully I will have new amazing things to share.
Awesome. You've been doing crystal healing and working with Reiki and crystals and spirit and amethyst, your angel, now for a while.
Yes.
What 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 would you say, either personally or with one of your clients, has been one of the most intensely powerful spiritual or healing experiences that again that you've either experienced or that you've witnessed?
There's a lot. Well, I'll start with, maybe I'll have like three. So
Okay,
I'm going
cool.
to space this podcast out. So my first ever Reiki experience, I would say, had to be the most intense experience I've ever had with Reiki.
Okay.
I was in college, and I went to FIU, Florida International University. Hello, Panthers. And one of the classes that we have to take, or it's part of when I was in college, I don't know what it is now. It's been 10 years. Oh God, it's been longer. How old am I? Anyway, it's been over 10 years.
Yeah, just stop.
Wow. Oh God. So one of the courses was a mysticism and ritualism course. And we had to take that course for our undergrad. So one of the ladies was studying Reiki, and I had no idea what Reiki was. Like, I had no clue what this word meant. And as she's standing in front of the board, she's describing what energy is and how energy works and how she got into the practice. And to this day, I swear this woman, I saw the outline of her aura. And at this point, I had no idea what aura meant. I was still struggling with religion. I didn't know, because as a side story, my father's family are Jehovah's Witness, and everybody in my mom's family are Catholics. So me and my
Whew.
brother were kind of at this like crossroads where we have two sides of the family pulling us in completely opposite directions. And so as she's speaking, I see like this color over her, and I look at my friend. I'm like, "Do you see that? Is she glowing? Is she like What is that?" And she's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about." I'm like, "There's color. She's color. Like, she's color. Like, it's the." So at the end of her presentation, she asked, would anybody like a quick session?" And there's about 50 kids right in that classroom. And out of the 50, like 45 of them get up and leave. And I was one of
Really?
the, yeah, nobody wanted, like, it's not a,
Nobody wanted
nobody
it.
wanted Reiki. It was free Reiki. I was like, hello. I mean, how about if this stuff is real? Like, do you not see her color? So I was one of the five that stayed behind. And as she is walking around and like doing like a quick hands treatment, just a quick like clearing, she gets to me and she does it. And at first I didn't feel anything, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Cool. That's weird, I guess." I and I walk out of the classroom, and outside of the classroom there's like these benches, and I sit at the bench, and all of a sudden it felt like my heart was ripped open, and like everything that I had been holding in my life at that point was just streaming out, and I was like sobbing, crying. And it was so intense, but it was like this release. Sometimes you just need a cry for no particular reason, but you just want to release it. And it was such a big release that I was like, whoa, there's something to this. So that is when I started opening up to, okay, maybe there is something beyond heaven and hell, or how Jehovah's Witnesses believe there's only like 7,000 people that are going to be saved, or my mom's belief. Like maybe there is something more than what I've been taught. So that was one, aside from the huge release, it kind of also opened me up to there are potentially other things that I should probably explore and get comfortable with and not hold myself down with what I have been taught.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of another one. I mean, do voices count? Sometimes
Yes.
sometimes when I sleep, you know what, like in your middle of like sleeping and waking up when you're like falling asleep, I see things. Please, nobody call CPS on my family. Sometimes I've seen my grandfather that I've never met, my great grandfather. I've never met him, but I have seen him. Um, the in the middle of the night, I used to get crystals whispered in my ear, and one of the big ones was selenite, and I had never heard of selenite at that point. And I woke up, I'm like, I got it. I wrote it down. Can you please shut up because I want to go to sleep? And I went to sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I Googled it. I was like, okay, what is selenite? And I saw what it was and what it worked as, which is like an aura cleansing. It's supposed to help you connect with spirit. I was like, okay, I got it. Thank you for the message. And then I guess every single time I do Reiki for a client as well, I'm always blown away when I get the feedback, because sometimes I'll do the session. It's usually a long distance session, and a lot of the times I'll get little snippets or little messages pop into my head, and I'll just write them down. I try not to filter it. That was one thing that I learned. Like, don't filter your messages, because you don't know what the person needs to hear. It may be completely off the wall, but don't add your filter. So that's one of the things that I've been trying to do. So at the end of the session, I ask what is the message that they need to hear, and I'll start writing things, whatever comes into my head. So for example, this one person, I asked if they have a very strong connection with animals, because at that moment, like a bunch of birds came and hang out, and I kept seeing like a dog in my head. And then I kept hearing a very basic line, which is trust your intuition, which I feel like everybody should be doing that. But I was like, okay, I'll just write it down. And back to the crystal, there was a very specific crystal that popped in my head for her. So I wrote it all down. I typed up my report, because you do get a full report after each session, and I just sent it off. And I'm like, maybe she's going to think I'm crazy. And I write in my report, this is the part where I sound crazy, but FYI. And one of the things that came back, she's like, what color was the dog? I said, I can't see the dog. Like, I just know there's a dog. Like, she goes, my dog just passed away. And I ordered a crystal, and the crystal that I ordered was the exact one that you said. So I said, okay, cool. And then she starts going into details of, I'm not going to say too much, in the reading that just kept lining up with everything that I was saying.
Okay.
Which is cool, but it's happened almost every report. And for those of you that know me, I still, the word isn't struggle, but I still unfortunately apply that filter, and it's something that I try to work my way out of. Like, okay, don't judge it, just give yourself that space. And that's a work in progress, right? But every single time I do it and it lines up, I was like, oh, holy crap, I'm really tapping into something. Like, there is really something there, right? And I do what I do, but still every single time I'm like, oh my God, I am tapping into, like, there is spirit
This is actually
talking to me.
a thing.
This is the thing. Holy cow. And I surprise myself every time, like, whoa, I did it. I don't know. I don't know if it's because of my upbringing. I had Catholic mom and Jehovah's Witness grandmother and everything. That's bad. That's the devil stuff. You shouldn't believe in that stuff. And I still struggle with that sometimes.
Okay.
My brother, FI, is like a hardcore religious person. And it wasn't until like 2 weeks ago that he finally knew. I've been doing this for 10 years almost, right? It wasn't until 2 weeks ago that he found out what I was doing. And he's
And
like,
what
WTF? Like, what are you doing? I go, remember when we were kids and we used to see ghosts all the time, which is also true. We saw ghosts. He's like, yeah, but that was my imagination. I'm like, no, no. The little toys spinning in the house were not your imagination. That was your friend. That was your friend. So yeah, I mean, I wish I had something more magical, but I think those are just the instances where that have been embedded in my memory the most.
I think
As
that's all
far
pretty
as,
magical.
right? Okay, thank you. Magical moments.
How do you how do you start the process or continue the work that could take lifetimes of, as you said, separating out some of this really strongly ingrained moral, religious, spiritual wing clipping? How no, I mean, truly, how, because so many of us have that in one form or another. Maybe it's not Catholicism. Maybe it's because they were born into a Muslim family, or maybe they have parents who were super duper open, but you can't tell anybody about this because it's too weird. So how do you, Michelle, work to deprogram and continue to let spirit in whatever form spirit takes for you? How do you do that?
I mean, for me, it's still a work in progress, right? There's still some beliefs that I don't necessarily attach to or put too much credit in. And I don't know if that has to do with my background or my stubbornness. One of the things that I feel helped me a lot, was just giving myself the opportunity to step back, to just ask the question, what if? Like, what if what they're saying is incorrect? Or what if there is maybe something else than this? And just asking that what if question, like, what if I'm going to get this book, and what if it really speaks to me? One of the books that really, and this is the book that I recommend to everybody, and I think Rachel, we've spoken about it before, is Conversations with God. And that same book was recommended reading in that classroom, that mysticism and ritualism course in college. This was recommended reading, along with Many Lives, Many Masters, and the I Ching. Like, it was a very progressive classroom.
I know that's pretty woke class.
I know, it was a woke class, and the teacher was, I mean, it was awesome. It was a class that changed my life almost. But that very particular book addressed a lot of my fears, because what a lot of my hang-ups, if I look at it, were fear-based. My fear of not getting into heaven, my fear of disappointing my family, my fear of going to hell, my fear of disappointing a God or Jesus or Jehovah. I mean, all these were fears. It wasn't like I loved what the teachings that were given to me. It wasn't that oh God, it wasn't that. It was a fear of disappointing or not going to where I needed to go. One of the things, and I hope my grandmother's not listening to this, so I doubt it. One of the things that my grandmother told me was, if you die and you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you're not getting into heaven. So all your family's going to get into heaven except you. How
Ooh.
traumatizing, right? Like, how traumatizing for a 10-year-old for you to say that. And then her speaking ill of the Catholic religion. And then I would go to my mom like, oh, my grandmother says that the Virgin Mary wasn't really a virgin. What? I mean, that would, and I think the opposing thoughts also help me kind of say, hold on a minute. You two people are saying two different things, and you both think you're so right. Like, both of you think you're so right. Like, one of you has to be wrong, right? Both of you cannot be right. so what's the answer? So that kind of also helped me explore a little bit or try to open my mind up to other things.
Okay.
And I think reading helps a lot. The Conversations with God book was one of the books that kind of addressed all those fears for me and just allowed me or gave me the ability to say, this is these two thoughts or beliefs are okay. It's their journey, it's their lifetime, and this is what's working for them now. If you feel like this doesn't fit you or it doesn't work for you, this is kind of like the what's behind the curtain, right? Like this is what there's other lives. I've never heard of the word reincarnation at that point. And the fact that I'm like, this isn't the end all be all. Like we can come, yeah, that kind of feels like people have different lifetimes. Brian Weiss talked about different lifetime, how it all connects, how time works, and it just kind of, it was like a breather for me. It's like, wow, it's okay. Like both of you are right, technically, and both of you are also wrong, technically. So, and it's okay, and it gives me that space, and I honor you, and I respect what you believe in, but it's not what fits me. And I think reading and learning from other people kind of helped me soften some of uh, the beliefs that I've had instilled in me since I was baptized. I had my first communion. We did the rosary every 13th of them. I was in it because of my family.
Yeah.
So giving me like learning and listening to other people. I like to listen to people that have been doing this longer, learning about other cultures as well, and seeing how they got there, like their
Okay.
history, learning about history in the Bible as well also helped me. Like, oh, do you know there's like 50 other books that just didn't make the cut into the Bible? Like, what about those? So it's just asking the questions and the what ifs help me. I guess it's just a word. It kind of helped me get to the point where I'm at, and now I'm not afraid. And
Okay.
what I do is no longer fear based. Like if I do something, I'm going to do it because it's coming from a place of love or learning. But I try no longer to work from a place, at least when it comes to my spiritual practices. I'm still afraid of like tight spaces and aliens.
Well,
Spiritual practice.
that's a whole nother episode. That's yeah. We'll pursue that
Yeah.
later. Yes.
Yes. But yes, that is where I come from, at least from that perspective.
Cool. Well, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to grill Michelle some more about how she became woke. It's going to be cool. Stick around.
Yay.
Hi, gang. Welcome back. This is episode 7 of the Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast with Rachel and Michelle. Today, we have Michelle in the hot seat. She is telling us everything that a person needs to know to ascend. No pressure,
Really?
Michelle. Don't get nervous. Don't freak out. You got this. So, you mentioned a few minutes ago about working through some of your fears and how being open and willing to have different conversations and question and probe and be really open has helped you in your journey. But I'd really love to hear more about who or what is actually with you on that journey. You mentioned amethyst earlier, and an angel that you felt or intuited when you were younger. Are there guides that you work with? Is it angels? Do you feel the energies of the crystals that you're working with? I want to hear everything about how you connect.
That's another heavy question. Jesus, Rachel. We're going to do yours over now, I feel like. Because I feel like I gave you easy ones.
Softball.
How do I connect? I know, I got to give a softball questions. You're mean. How do I connect? So I work with Angels and spirit guides are kind of what I connect to the most. Angels, I've had an affinity to them for a very, very long time. My mother, I guess because it fits more within the Catholic religion, is very big into angels. Archangel Michael is her big one. My name is Michelle. Coincidence. So I do try to connect with my angels as much as possible. Amethyst being my what I refer to as my guardian angel.
Okay.
Um, and I sometimes I just talk to them in my head. Oh my God, nobody calls CPS on me. I talk to them. I talk to her as much as I can. There is somebody, and I'm going to call them out right now. Her name is EJ Ellen, and she is the green. Oh God, I'm going to double check it, and I will put it in the comments. Her name is the Green Phoenix on Instagram, and she's a really, really good friend of mine. We connected via astrology angel mediums, and she's almost like the person that calls me out when I haven't connected to my spirit or my angels in a long time, and she'll send me a message like, "Hey, have you connected to Amethyst in a while?" I'm like, "No. How dare you call me out on my lack of spirituality at the present moment? I am busy." Because, you know,
Muggle stuff
um,
needs doing.
yeah, like I feel that you should probably connect with her. And whenever she sends me those messages, I'm like, okay, I got it. I appreciate you sending a human to me to remind me that I haven't connected you for a while. And then I'll imagine her in my sleep, and I do get a
Okay.
lot of prophetic dreams. That's another method that I use, and I keep an amethyst next to my bed. Funny enough, an amethyst next to my bed helps you have those prophetic dreams and helps you have that dream recall later, so you remember what you're dreaming. So a lot of information comes via dreams, or I know something's going to happen because I've dreamt about it a couple days before. Like I always dream when my friends are pregnant or when my friend is leaving the country.
Ooh, that's a
Mm-hmm.
that. See, this
Do
is
you remember?
as a quick aside. Michelle mentioned that she does not live in the United States. I also don't live in the United States. I and Michelle and I used to live in the non-United States place together, which is how she and I met. However, I moved to New Zealand at the end of 2018. And anyway, you can't keep things from people like this. It's so anyway, I wasn't we were going through the visa application process, and I was not ready to tell her. I just I wasn't. And anyway, of course, she had a dream about it, and she came over for coffee and is like, "So you're moving, and it's very green there, and there are lots of trees." And I was like, "Well, on the one hand, I was sort of waiting for this to happen, and yes, so yeah,
See,
so yes,
the
that
dreams
is
never lie.
that is one caveat as we're all moving forward in our spiritual journey. You can't keep things from your spiritual friends because they
Oh,
know.
no. I I knew she was leaving. And then in my head I still try to like, it's just a dream. It's not true. And she's like, "Well, Michelle." I'm like, "No, you can't leave me." Why? So yes, dreams are another method that I use a lot to connect. Or at least to connect, they choose to connect with me because they have my completely undivided attention. And sometimes it's so much that I have to stop doing this. I put my headphones in to fall asleep, and that seems to help kind of either keep my brain busy and
Okay.
not have to, I guess, ascend, because sometimes I just want sleep and I don't want to have like an additional layer of my sleep. Like I just want to sleep. Sometimes I just want to listen to Dr. Phil drone on my phone and then I fall asleep. Or there's also other methods I used to sleep, but Dr. Phil apparently is what my flavor of the week. Sorry, Dr. Phil. It's just like his voice is so deep, and it's like a sleepy voice, right?
It
So it's just
is.
him talking about whatever he's. I don't even know what he's talking about. I'm just like, oh, cryptic pregnancy, Dr. Phil. This crazy lady that thinks she's been pregnant for like 5 years. Anyway, sorry. So that's one method that I use to. Is that the question? How do I connect? Dreaming. I. So the other thing is I've had readings before with other people, and this one particular spirit guide was very insistent on coming through. So much so that he's come through on, there's a group that I'm in, and we all do readings for each other in private, of course. Like, hey, can somebody do a reading? Or can I want to practice? Like we practice a lot with each other to make sure that we're still zoned in, I guess is the word, that we're on the right frequency, and we'll do readings for each other. And one particular spirit guide on these private messages kept coming through, and his name was or is Charlie. And every single time Charlie was mentioned, Charlie was wearing a suit. Charlie wears a suit. And Charlie is sort of like my business manager and the guy that comes in with like the ideas or what should I be doing different or what I should change, right? So Charlie is a big person in my spirit guide squad. I also have my great grandparents who are always with me. They are a couple. They passed away years ago. It was way before I was born. But they've been called out by name by a couple of the readings as well. And I know they're there. I've seen him several times. Um, so yeah, I got my squad, and I have conversations in my head by myself. Sometimes I'll just stay in a quiet space and ask, is there something that I need to know? Is there something that I need to connect with? Is there something that I'm not seeing? And they'll answer it via like angel numbers. Sometimes they'll say things. I also use oracle cards and tarot cards as well when I just want like quick messages. Like I just crap. Well, like what I just need. Rachel right now knows that I am in a there's a legal issue going on in regards to my business name, which I've had since 2010, and this particular person had it recently. Anyway, so we're going through a back and forth, and it was in the cards. I mean, the cards were clear as day. Like, yes, you were right. You're gonna get this. You're gonna fight for it, but you'll get it at the end. And it's something that I didn't want to really think about. I was like, no, 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 no. This is going to be over soon, and it's going to be great. And oh my God, I hate this. And it's going to be fine. But no, sure enough, this particular person is fighting me tooth and nail. And I'm like, why? But the lesson is, for me, or at least what Charlie was trying to tell me, is if you want this, you have to fight for it. Like, I'm going to make you work, and you need to work. Like, you're not living up to your name. And if this is what you need to live up to it, this is what's going to happen. Like, you want it, you're going to fight for it. It's yours, but you need to put in the work. And if you're not going to be nudged, I'm going to, I think, push you off the bridge, which is what it feels like it's free falling, right? I'm going to push you. So that's Charlie. Charlie's like a no nonsense. This is the message. And then all the ideas that I have. And I think, Rachel, I told you once, I like to also commune in the tub. And I think you also do this, like in the shower, right?
Yep.
So I'll sit there with my phone. My best ideas come while I'm laying in the tub. And one of the things that I have been doing was trying to look for a very specific type of property to convert into sort of a spirituality healing center. And one of the places that I've been looking at is there's a place in Florida and there's a place in Ohio. And Ohio apparently is just giving away these things because it's so inexpensive. And it's, to be exact, it's anyway, it's a very specific building. It's a church. And in my thought process was while I was in the tub, I go, I'm going to offend a lot of people if I reuse an old church. Like, a lot of people are going to get offended. And the message, I still get chills. The message that I got was clear as day. She's like, and yet you are still doing the Lord's work. I'm like, fudge. Sorry, I don't need to curse. I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's my plan. So, and I still constantly get that, like, I go back to that message, like, you are still doing the Lord's work. Like, this is, like, you have to do this. And then our friend Adam kind of picked up on it, like, it's going to happen. And Charlie is making sure it happens. It's just, Sometimes I need a little push because I got laundry.
Muggle
I
stuff.
got
We
laundry
have
stuff too. I got
car,
local stuff.
car needs oil change. To clarify, when Michelle says
Yeah.
our friend Adam picked up on it, she is referencing again our buddy Adam Perry, who is an intuitive artist. He makes the most incredible images based on the visions that he intuits and receives. When Michelle and I had a reading done with him together, Adam was
Mm-hmm.
able to pick up on not just a lot of things that Michelle and I share, but then certain things that were sort of more for me and then things that were for Michelle. And he saw these gorgeous images. Michelle, you can sort of paint them better. I can imagine for
He,
our listeners, but
yeah, yeah. He's amazing. And my God, I'm actually using the thing that he gave us with the pictures to hold up the phone currently. So it's funny that we're saying he. So his image of me was me standing in a cathedral door with these dragons. I think there were 6 dragons at the entryway, and me just kind of like what he described it was like a grand opening, or it was like an opening or the beginning of something. And all I said was like, "Oh my God, that's literally what I want. Like that is what I want to do. If the dragons are there, that's cool. But if they exist in my
if the dragons are there.
I'll take the dragons, Dracarys. But I want like, but that image was, and that image lives with me. Like that's been my phone wallpaper. Like that's what I'm going to do. I'm not don't want to. That is what's going to happen. That is what I'm going to do. And if, for those who want a reading or want a way to connect with spirit or receive a message, or I highly recommend Adam. He's at Adam Perry Art on Instagram. And hi Adam, if you're listening to this, and I know we've spoken about him before.
Hi.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing, and I cannot recommend him enough, especially for those who are going on this journey and need a little. Sometimes we just need a reminder. Sometimes we just need a way to connect. And he's like that. He's like that Skype phone call away with spirit, in essence, right? Like he's that connection. Um, was that my question? I think I'm done with my question. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how
So
I
that
connect. Yeah, that's it.
cool. There were a lot of ways that yes, that it sounds like you're connecting. That's it's
Yeah.
fun.
So
Like yeah,
it is.
I was hoping to find out from you as we are getting close to the end of our time together today. Uh, Michelle's hot take, State of the Union in the spiritual community. Yes, this is official business. What are some things that you've noticed recently in new age communities in the spiritual realm that make your heart feel lovely, make you so excited, make you think, yes, this is absolutely bringing the collective consciousness up a few vibes? I would also love to hear some of the things that you think could definitely benefit from a change in direction or a different mindset.
Let's see. I do think, thanks to social media, that a lot of things that were done behind closed doors are coming to light and are more accepted. So people are becoming familiar with crystals. People are becoming familiar with, I feel like 10 years ago, well, 20 years ago, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. If you talked about the moon, people didn't give crap. Like, oh, it's a full moon. And you wouldn't make that connection like, oh, maybe I should put my crystals to charge. Now, Oliver, I see you're putting your crystals to charge, or we're going to do a drum circle at the beach. I mean, that was not something that was seen, at least not by me anyway, or just people that are getting together and becoming more open to the idea of spirits, the idea of working on self-care and self-love, the idea of lighting a candle or having a sacred space. A lot of people have sacred space that are not in tune with their spiritual side at all. They just have an area in their house that they just like to keep their favorite items, a picture, a dead animal that they found, Rachel.
Sometimes they find me. I don't like it's not like
Yeah,
I'm just running
okay.
around.
Looking for dead things. All right. Or they'll keep like a stone that they find, or like I like that. And people are, and even just if you watch TV, they're like, oh, I brought you. I'm a Real Housewives fan. No, I have not caught up in the last season. But they were gifting each other like smudge sticks, or they're gifting each other like salt lamps, or just things that are meant to raise your vibration. Like I love that, and I love that it's becoming more accepted, and people are not looking you like a total weirdo. I get people all the time asking me, "Oh, how can I cleanse my house?" I'm like, "Here's a stick, burn it. Don't smell it too much because maybe you get high off it, but just." Here, and I love that. I love that. Like it's more acceptable. People are doing it all over. I love that. What I don't like, and this is an
Ooh,
unpopular opinion, right?
get my
So
tea.
there's a couple of things I know. There's a couple of things that I cringe at when I see sometimes. One of the three, and this is one of, if not the main reason we started the podcast, was empowering people to trust their intuition. There's a lot of people out there that are stopping you from trusting yourself. So there's a lot of people that are saying, no, that is wrong. That's not how you do it. You have to do X, Y, and Z, right? For the people there's tribes that believe that the North represents female and South represents male. And then there's people on the other side of the planet that flip it because of the location of where they are. That doesn't mean that now everything has to be one certain way because this person has decided it's going to be this one way. There's different flavors for different people. Um, there's some people that believe that your power comes from the womb, for example, like womb power. You're a woman. Well, what about women that are born without wombs, or women that are women that are older, no longer good because they can't be produced, they can't have children? Is a woman's ability to transition from one phase to another purely based on the fact that she's going to start menses? For me, it's not. For other people, it is. Like there's not a right or wrong way. Like you really have to think of what works for you and what you honor in yourself or in your practice. That's one thing. The other thing, embrace yourself.
I'm ready.
And I know I've had to follow a couple of accounts because of this. And this actually is one thing that really, really bothers me. There is the hot topic right now back home is cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a huge thing. And I'm not saying one way that anybody's beliefs are invalid. I'm not saying what their opinions are invalid. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how it's coming across within the New Age community, which should be accepting. So one of the things are, for example, if you are not Hispanic, you should not be burning Palo Santo or holy wood. That's a thing for people. And that upsets me so much because the person is not appropriating any belief or culture system. They legit just want to get away with the vibes. There is a sense of if you are not a certain hue, you should not or cannot be doing this. If that is, I feel like that's not how you instead of breaking down walls, you are just building them right back up by saying you should not or you cannot do this. Yes, there is a way to do do it respectfully. I am not saying put
Yes,
on a
right.
headdress and start going out and doing rain dances. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is tools that have been used should not be used because you are not of a hue. Stop doing that. If somebody's asking, take it as an opportunity to teach, take it as an opportunity to
Yes.
teach about culture, take it as a teaching opportunity for somebody who's potentially coming in. It might not resonate with them at all, or it might be like, wow, I really feel a strong connection to this. I would like to work with it. What is the best way to work with it? How can I honor it? Whatever. Because if we're going to go down that rabbit hole, there's a lot of things that a lot of us, a lot of you guys, a lot of me should not be using because it does not come from your history, right? If we're going to that rabbit hole, it's a deep rabbit hole, and it's one that we shouldn't go in because it's not what we should be doing.
It doesn't raise anybody's vibe. It doesn't, it's let's
No.
let's build each other up together. If you have a question about some practice that another person has, or the type of material that they're using to connect, whether it's Palo Santo or whatever, instead of approaching it from a place of combativeness and a desire to separate and make distinct in that way, you can send a message to us and say, hey, I noticed that you're using frankincense, but you didn't mention that XYZ, and this is why it's important. I'd love if you can acknowledge that next time you talk about it. Again, it's even the way that people approach the topics with these particularly contentious spiritual sort of modes in mind. It's where, how are you aligned? Where is your heart? How are you coming into this? Is it
Yeah. I don't
to
know. I
connect
feel
with?
like I can go on for like an hour with
Yes,
this.
we
Yeah.
we
Sorry.
are.
If you if you have a different idea or a different belief, or tell me why I'm wrong on this one area, leave a comment. Like, I would love to hear what other people, maybe I completely missed the mark, or I'm just not getting the points. I'm not saying not to honor where these tools came from. That's not what I'm saying, or to acknowledge. I'm just saying don't stop somebody else from learning or using that as an opportunity to learn and to use the tools so they can grow like we can. And I think we're done, right?
I think that's it. I hope that everyone who joined us today feels a little more connected to Michelle and who she is, and was able to feel some of that passion and connect with
Ooh.
her beautiful fiery spirit. She is a Scorpio rising. It does occasionally come out.
It's very rare, though, I feel like. But in this instance, because this is something I'm passionate about, like, I want everybody to learn and everybody to grow and everybody to be in connect with their spirit and whatever serves them and how they can rise up. Because if you are going up, so is everybody else. Like, we're not, leave no child behind. Like, we are just, I know, just like we should be moving towards something better instead of being stagnant or going backwards, unfortunately, which is what I feel sometimes is happening. Like, we're regressing into this era where we should not be going to. Anyways, I think we're done. Yes.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Thank you. This is fun. Well, just to close up, this is episode 7, and I know. I hope you got to know Rachel and I a little better. Make sure that you're following us on YouTube at Spilling the Tea Leaves. You can follow us on our website, spillingthetealeaves.com. You'll have all our links there at the bottom. Make sure that you are listening to us at your favorite place where you're listening to your podcast. Make sure you're leaving us a comment and subscribe and share us and tell us how much you love us or hate us. but mainly how much you love us. Again, my name is Michelle. I am the owner of Remember Love. You can find me at rememberlovehealing.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Remember Love, and you can find me on Twitter at the Remember Love. Something has Remember Love. The Remember Love. And this is my beautiful friend Rachel.
Yes, everyone, I am on Instagram at CottageonWolfLane. I'm an animal intuitive and spirit guide, helper, tarot card reader. I'd love to hear from you or see pictures of your pets. Anything you want to send.
I like pictures of Crystal, so please tag me on all your And if you are following us on Instagram, keep an eye out for our IGTV because we will be putting up tons of clips, and it's your opportunity. It's a good opportunity to share why we're so awesome, right? We are awesome
and modest too.
And modest, yeah. Sorry about my Scorpio rising at the end. If you have an opinion, come at me. If you want to send us an email, you can shoot us an email at spillingthetealeaves@gmail.com. And we are out, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for episode 7.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.